Good morning. So today let's talk about cardio, right? So I think one of the most common question I get is how much cardio should you be doing, right? The thing is, when it comes to fitness, a lot of the suggestions and recommendation is really based on the individual, right? And it's always dependent on the goal. So when it comes to talking about cardio, I will discuss it in the terms of a context of trying to achieve a body transformation, and the goal ultimately is aesthetics, right? So if you are looking to do cardio in terms of a performance setting, then this is not the video for you, right? So let's talk about how to actually do cardio so that we can look the best. Firstly, we have to understand the role of cardio, right? So to think about it, number one, in order to lose body fat, so we have to burn more calories than we consume. So if I give you an analogy, it will be example as your diet will be like your main source of income. So every day you will be given this amount of money to spend, which is your maintenance calories, right? So if you spend below that, you will be able to save. So by saving, you will be able to lose body fat. So your diet should be your main source of income. So let's say if you don't earn a lot because your metabolism is not as high. So usually if you have a good balance between your appetite and your metabolism, then fat loss will be very easy. But if you have a very big appetite but your maintenance is low, right, then it will be quite difficult for you. So in order to achieve a bigger spending, that's where the cardio can come into play, right? So cardio will be something like your side income or like your part-time job. So the key of cardio is to do enough, right, so that you can maintain the balance between like your hunger and the caloric deficit. So let's say if you are perfectly comfortable with the amount that you are eating and it provides a good caloric deficit, the truth is you do not actually need to do any sort of cardio at all in order to lose fat, right? So I have done cutting phases in the past where I have done zero cardio. Okay, maybe one session only for the whole cutting phase, which was around I think 12 weeks plus, right? So it is definitely possible, okay, because like I said, the main source of income, or rather the main source of deficit, should come from your diet. But of course, doing cardio do have other benefits, like for your heart and then for your stamina and stuff like that. But for today's video, we will not be talking about those benefits. So in terms of what kind of cardio should you be doing, right? Personally, I recommend low intensity cardio. So for me, I do like walking, brisk walk on the incline treadmill. Walking outside works as well, right? But I prefer to really know exactly how much calories I'm burning. Although it doesn't really matter, but it makes it easier for me to track things. So in case if I want to add or subtract, it's easier. Okay, sometimes I'll do the Stairmaster as well, right? But the key is to keep it at a low intensity pace, which means if you search heart rate zones, right, you want to ideally keep your heart rate at around zone 2, right? How many beats per minute will be dependent on your age, right? So ideally, if you keep your heart rate at that pace, your body primary source of fuel for that cardio activity will be mostly from fat. So let's say if I burn 200 calories from incline walking, majority of the 200 calories will be coming from fat. So if you think about our goal when it comes to this mini cut, it's not ultimately to lose weight, rather we want to lose fat, right? So I think most people like to do running as a form of cardio because it's the easiest. Okay, you don't really need a gym or any equipment to do, and everybody knows how to run, right? But the thing about running is it's slightly more high intensity. Okay, granted the calories versus walking, right, you will burn much more. But in terms of how long can you keep running versus how long can you keep walking, there is a big difference. Okay, so like I said, most important, because cardio is sort of like your part-time job, right? You most probably cannot be doing the same amount of work as your full-time job, right? So ideally, you want to do something that is more sustainable. That's why low intensity is actually one of the best, because you can essentially walk for hours, right, and not feel fatigued. Also, when it comes to appetite, right, doing high intensity cardio will definitely make you hungrier, which result, if you're hungrier, you are more likely to eat more. But more importantly, when you're doing higher intensity cardio, although you are burning more overall calories, the majority of the energy used will be from carbohydrates, which there's a slight risk that it will affect your performance in the gym, which is definitely counterproductive in what we are trying to achieve doing this mini cut, right, which is to maximize aesthetics. But then when it comes to cardio, I think the most important, or when it comes to anything related to fitness, right, you have to make sure to choose something that you enjoy, right? So if you like running, I know I do have some clients that really love running. So for those clients, it may not be the most optimal, but then if they enjoy what they are doing, the more likely they are going to stick to it, right? So this is actually some things that most people fail to recognize. So if you have not been doing any form of cardio yet, right, but you are achieving a good steady rate of fat loss per week, right, my advice is there's no need to add any cardio just yet, right? Wait until your progress slows down or it does not reach the amount that you are satisfied with, which is, as we have discussed, is around 1% of your body weight per week. That is ideal, right? So when that happens, either you can drop your calories or you can increase cardio, depending on how comfortable are you with your current diet, right? So if you can sacrifice more food, then I would say drop the calories. But then let's say you are very comfortable with where you are at hunger levels wise, then increasing cardio by adding low intensity steady state will be an ideal choice. Okay, so for myself, I am currently doing about 4 to 5 20-minute session per week, right? Basically how I do it is I will just do a 20 minutes post-workout after my upper body training days. Okay, so when it comes to my training, I'm doing like 3 upper body, then 1 lower body, right? So then rest, right? So for my lower body and rest day, I do not do any cardio. I only do cardio on the 3 upper body days. Okay, so sometimes it will be 4 times a week, sometimes it will be 5 times a week. So that's roughly about, I would say, 80 minutes to 100 minutes. So burning about 800 to 1000 calories per week, depending on the week. Okay, so if you divide it by day, actually it's not much difference. So we were to calculate, if let's say if it's 1000 calories divided by 7, right, I am actually burning an additional 114 calories. So while this 100 calories may not seem like much, that's because it is really not a lot, right? Probably if you just stare at some food, you already will get this 100 calories in. But the key is majority of this will be coming from fat, right? So in terms of a fat loss perspective is a good thing, right? Another thing is like this is something that will add up over time, right? So let's say if we are having an extra 100 calories in terms of a deficit per week, right? That will result in roughly a 0.1 kg extra in terms of progress that we'll be making. And although it may not seem like a lot from a week-to-week basis, but if you add up, right, that will be over 6 weeks, half a kg. And majority of this half kg will be from fat, right? So end of the day, it will look visually different, okay? But honestly, if you really think it's not a lot, that's where I would rather not do any cardio, because maybe the effort, the risk reward is not worth it, right? So for you, maybe just subtract the 100 calories from your diet. End of the day, it will still work out the same. But like I said, there are also other benefits with cardio. So which is something that I will not be going through in this video, right? But if you are interested, go and do some research, and then you see whether the benefits outweigh. Okay, maybe some is like it will help with your training intensity also in the gym. Okay, but this is only for if you are doing low intensity steady state, because it doesn't directly impact your performance in the gym as well as your appetite. Okay, and the best thing is you can essentially do low intensity steady state for as long as possible, okay, because it does not really require much effort to do when you are in zone 2. Okay, so let's go to the gym. It's